Hello everyone, welcome to another Writer's Rant, brought to you by CAMILLE'S Harem. Not just a podcast for novice writers by novice writers, but also a YouTube channel by novice writers for novice writers. Because writing is an adventure, it's more fun with friends. And if writing is such a great adventure, why does no one at Disney actually embark on it? Why must the company continuously pump out remake after live-action remake? Well, I can tell you why. Because they love that good money. They love not paying the extra buck for hand-drawn animation, and they love pumping nostalgia for all it's worth. But we already knew all of that. What we should start considering is how Disney can move away from a pattern that is ultimately devoid of creativity and will eventually lead them to a path of lesser monetary returns. So honestly, Mickey, I am doing you a favor by making this video. Here's the thing, one should rewrite a story not so much to update the setting and characters for the modern times, but to take a whole new angle on a familiar tale. Like if Disney did a more faithful adaptation of The Hunchback of Notre Dame, or like with what they accomplished when it came to the movie Maleficent, looking at Sleeping Beauty through the eyes of the villain. Or you can rewrite a story to help it achieve its full unrecognized potential, like with The Black Cauldron. Or lastly, you can rewrite a story to garner more attention for a deserved but overlooked classic like Atlantis. These are the instances in which I think Disney could narratively profit from the most. Now, I will say this, kind of getting this out of the way, I do not hate live-action remakes or remakes in general. They just don't jive with me the same way that the animated originals did. Nor can they carry enough creativity and original weight to keep me fully invested. That doesn't mean that they can't be profitable, especially monetarily, especially as many live-action remakes have recently proven. But with that being said, that doesn't excuse the severe lack of creativity and ingenuity that Disney is currently laboring under. As you have probably gathered by what I've just said, I really like 2D animation. And I usually prefer it to live action when I'm given the opportunity. There's just something so fantastic about it. Something truly magical that CGI and live action struggle to replicate. They usually work better for sci-fi brought to reality, like when you look at James Cameron's Avatar. I don't think the upcoming Lion King remake will be able to recapture the same magic and wonder of moments like Scar's ballad to the hyenas, Simba's song about wanting to become the next king, or even the horror of the wildebeest stampeding through the gorge. And that is because animation can suspend our disbelief and weave incredible sequences of action, drama, and anatomy-defying feats. But once again, a corporation is going to go the cheaper route and settle for a fraction of the magic that they could have with their remake, rather than capturing something entirely original through new storytelling. So my crying from the rooftops that we should return to 2D animation sadly falls on deaf ears. That's a sad realization. But in terms of storytelling that can be engaging, interesting, and indeed magical, let's consider what Disney and other storytellers like yourselves could do differently. First of all, the big trend right now is to take a whole new twist on an age-old story you thought you knew. Maleficent, once again, is a great example of this by retelling the tale of Sleeping Beauty through the eyes of the supposed villain, and then from there, reshaping the story and the lore to paint an all-new picture. We see this happening a lot in recent YA fiction, especially. Different perspectives and unexpected twists keep old stories feeling fresh and alive. However, these do feed into the cynical notion that there is no unique or original story. I have said before that I disagree with this idea because if you honestly put thought and your heart into a story, it becomes unique because it is yours. But that's another long rant to get to some other time. If Disney wants to be more original than rehashing the same old stories, well, there are many more out there that they can do unique and interesting things with. Let's take, for example, the upcoming Aladdin movie. Aladdin and the Lamp are but one story. It's 1001 Arabian Nights, for crying out loud. Or have they even opened the collection of tales from the Brothers Grimm? There are so many intense and cool stories that could be embellished to give them an original flair. The thing is, Disney, you don't even have to keep rehashing the classics. There are new classics waiting to be pillaged and even franchised. I mean, you can make a fantasy version of the Avengers across another 10 years from either the Grimm fairy tales or Arabian Nights. Separately, diversity! Yay! You could do so much with these other stories that most people just gloss over. Don't be like that. Dive into them. But an even bolder and more respectable option is to embark on making all new stories, or to embrace the lesser known books that are out there. I will pit movies like The Secret of Nim, All Dogs Go to Heaven, and An American Tail against any Disney Renaissance film in terms of story and beautiful animation. There's something to be said about movies that are willing to explore darker themes, or ideas that most people, once again, just kind of gloss over. And these Don Bluth films are incredible because of their boldness, and they tell stories that resonate with audiences young and old. And it's not just the Don Bluth films themselves. There are many others out there if you are willing to look for them. One of my personal favorites is The Swan Princess, to be quite honest. Disney has been struggling to retool their remakes to appeal to their original audiences now grown up and still have that cutesiness for the real intended kid audiences. And that just doesn't work always very well. It's more rewarding to take the risk and work to create something new. Now, when I say the word risk, that is something that companies are both familiar with and don't like. They'll say that they're willing to take risks because most talk of risks on Disney's part come in hindsight after the cash starts flowing in. Behind the scenes, they, like so many other companies, try to minimize the potential risk. And that is where we novice writers have a leg up on even the House of Mouse. Whether you want to become a career author, just write for fun, or nervously post fan fictions onto the internet, as a novice writer, you are in a prime situation to take risks that not even Disney, with its billions of dollars, is willing to take. If there's a story that you want to write that you think you, as a writer, can do brilliantly, irregardless of what it is, then go ahead and write it. Sure, we still struggle with our own problems, but at least we don't stand to lose $100 million. Just some of our dignity. And what is dignity really worth in the face of creating something, of watching our story come to life before our very eyes as we write it? That is honestly one of the most amazing experiences, and it feels so good to dive into something that I feel is originally mine. It's a beautiful experience. That is true art, and that is just one of the many rewards of really writing something that you want to write, not just rehashing the same old. That is part of the magic of writing something creative and fresh. Now, once again, creativity and freshness, that is a topic for another rant. If you want to see what I've already said on the matter a little bit, check out our previous video about asking questions when it comes to writing. If you want to write something truly unique, just ask some questions and see where those questions lead you. It's a fascinating experience of discovery. And so this is something that Disney itself should do. But it eschews it just for a quick buck. So don't be a greedy mouse, be creative! Alright, that does it for this rant. I am looking forward to Blue Will Smith as the genie, but I'm looking much more forward to completing my own books. And in the meantime, if you want more writing advice, please check out our podcast, Camille's Harem, found on Podbean, iTunes, and Google Play. And if you like what you've seen here or what you hear on our podcast, please share our adventure with other writers. You can check out some of our art on Tumblr, writing exercises on Pinterest, and engage in discussions with us over at our subreddit. And like always, we are on the prowl for terrible fan fictions to do epic readings of for your enjoyment. If you know of one that you would like us to read, please send us a link to it via our Twitter at CAMILLE'S Harem. And until the next video, tschüss.